Hello, and welcome to this video on Adobe Experience Platform, Sandbox, and licensing considerations. My name is Jonathan Bush, Senior Enterprise Architect in Adobe Consulting's Enterprise Architecture team. Enterprise architects in Adobe Consulting are technical leaders on our customer engagements, and we work across the Adobe stack with Adobe customers. In this video, we're going to discuss some considerations with sandboxes and licensing within Adobe Experience Platform. The first thing to touch upon is the difference between the two types of sandboxes available in AEP, production and development. And while the names may seem self-explanatory, there are important license distinctions between the two that you'll need to keep in mind when building a strategy about how you utilize sandboxes. It is important to remember that development sandboxes are allocated 10% of what your production sandboxes are in terms of service resources and profiles. This means if your AEP license is 1 million profiles in production, you're able to have 100,000 profiles in your development instances. Having a smaller amount of resources also means that many things may process slower in development sandboxes than production, which is important to remember if doing any end-to-end or process testing. The slowness in development that may be seen in comparison to production is something to be expected. At a minimum, you'll have 5 sandboxes available, and you're able to create any of those as production or development, and can increase in increments of 10 up to a maximum of 75 sandboxes. Your license profile counts are the sum of all your sandboxes of a specific type. So, if you have 1 million profiles in your license for production, all of your production sandboxes have to equal 1 million or less. And the same goes for development. If we're using this example and you have 100,000, that is including every single development sandbox in your instance. This does not mean that profiles are stored together. Each sandbox is a separated environment entirely. This only accounts for licensing purposes. Here we have an example of a client sandbox hierarchy. There are many approaches, and that will be covered in a separate video. But here we have 3 development sandboxes, each with a specific purpose, and 2 production sandboxes, one being the real production sandbox where audiences are being activated to live destinations, and a staging sandbox where this client has full resources to do end-to-end and process testing to ensure that they have an idea of how this may behave in production. Keep in mind, sandboxes can be deleted or recycled. In this example, we have a sandbox labeled experimentation, and its purpose is to have a space that can be recycled entirely after certain activities where there's no risk to other developers or marketers' work when going through development purposes in the other sandboxes. Keep these factors in mind when planning your AMP environment out. You may be wondering about how to keep track of this. There are licensing dashboards within AEP that allow you to monitor across production development instances. Maybe you've added a new data source that has more profiles than anticipated, or maybe you've added so much data to your profiles that their average size is approaching the limitations. And when talking about profile considerations for licensing, at the time of this video, profile size has a hard limit of 50 megabytes total, and there are related limits for profile fragments and datasets that produce them. Any fragment can also equal 50 megabytes. Meaning that the majority of your data can come from one fragment, but be mindful about how new data sources or upticks in traffic to those sources may affect your profile sizes as you expand the richness of incoming data into profile. Also be aware of the limitations around the amount of profile-enabled datasets. At this time of the video, there is a recommended maximum of 20 profile-enabled datasets. We hope that you have enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for watching. We would love to hear from you, and you can reach us at acs-ea@adobe.com with feedback or suggestions.